So, Allison Terracio, thank you for joining me. First off, how's the first couple of months been on council?
Well, they have been just a rush of events and meetings and lots of reading and phone calls and emails and text messages, and it's like jumping into the deep end.
And I know council has a lot of work, and I've seen you already out at a lot of events this year. What's been a fun time for you during council so far?
Yeah, well, the fun times are really just seeing the work of the county on the ground, getting to go to the new libraries when they open, getting to ride the Comet out to the Congaree and see the fireflies. So just those services that the county provides, that really lights me up.
Councilwoman for District 5, grew up in Kentucky, correct?
That's correct.
And lived in New York for a little while. So that's a little bit about yourself, but share with us a little bit more about you for people that may not know.
Sure. Well, I've got a varied history. I was a biochemistry major in college who moved to New York and started working for a bank. And then I moved to Kentucky and taught yoga. I moved back to New York and served as a doula. That's a woman who helps other people in labor and childbirth and directly after the birth. And then went back to the bank. A few years later, my husband got a job back in his hometown of Columbia, and so we moved back, started our started our child in Richland 1 schools, and I just started to get more and more involved in the community. So that's really what led me to run for office, and it's what I keep thinking of as I serve.
And being new to office, what are some things that you have learned from some of the council members that have been in office for 10 plus years?
It's been really helpful to have people who have been around the block before, especially now in budget season, because I think, well, how does all this work? For instance, I texted the chair and I said, so if I'm going to put in a motion, how does this work? They send me something and I submit it, and then and so he said, yeah, that's pretty much how it works. So just having those people to kind of check in with and say, how does this work? How do I get this to happen? And for them to be there for me.
And this is a leadership type position. Where did you gain your leadership skills from growing up?
Well, I have to go back to my mom and my grandmother, and they just showed me that when something needs done, you go ahead and start doing it, and then other people join in with you. In my career, I was a business owner, and so there were people who looked to me for guidance and leadership and to make decisions that affected them day to day. And then recently, I've actually done some women's leadership training, and I am an executive coach, a leadership coach. So now I help other women as they move forward in their career paths too.
And what advice would you give someone that is looking to get into a leadership role? Because you have, like you mentioned, being in a bank in a leadership role, and you have one currently now. What advice would you give?
Well, I was just talking to someone today, and the bottom line that came out of that was just put on your shoes and walk out the door, because you don't really get those opportunities by kind of staying at home and thinking about it. You might make a few stumbles along the way, but put on your shoes, walk out the door, see what there is, and start showing up for things. And then next thing you're going to be the person who's going to seem like the leader, even though if you might not feel like the leader. And then you can start to work with people and learn as you go.
Okay, so what is one thing that you would like the public to know about Allison Terracio besides being Councilwoman for District 5?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that even though I'm in this position, I'm still just a person. So I'm someone who gets up and gets my child ready for school. I just cleaned the bathroom before I came here because we're having a guest this evening. So even though I get to sit on the other side of that desk, I'm still just a mom who does the laundry and does after school pickup. And so when you think about us in terms of these big asks, just remember that politicians, they're just like us.
You are one of 3 new members to council. What's your time been like with the other two new ones? And I know you mentioned about how you've learned a lot from council, but have y'all learned things together on your own as well?
Sure. Yeah, well, we're, obviously from 3 different districts. We have 3 different backgrounds. And so they've been great to kind of, again, bounce ideas off of, because I know that if I think something is a good idea and then I bounce it off someone who's coming from a very different place and they think it's a good idea, then chances are it's a good idea for all of Richland County. And so they've been very open about their newness too with me, and we've kind of just been able to talk to each other and check in, and then also share. I had a conversation with this other council member, so it kind of keeps us from having to repeat the same conversations over and over.
With District 5, including the Vista, 5 Points, Rosewood, Edgewood, Historic Waverly, other districts, other parts of the district as well. Those are pretty important parts of Columbia, South Carolina, mainly focusing in the center of Columbia, South Carolina, or Richland County. Is there even a bigger importance to you because those are parts of the county that have a lot of people and also are looked at very highly? Do you think that puts a little bit more pressure on you?
Yeah, well, it's the densest district, so there are a lot of people in a smaller place, and there are a lot of businesses and a lot of high-profile activities that go on in this district. And so we just want to be really smart as we grow, because we know as things get a little more compact, I guess the pressure goes up to get it right. So we want to make sure that what we're doing at the university, what we're doing here in the Vista and in 5 Points really serves everyone well.
So there's been a lot of talk about green wave in your district and also bicycling. Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on with that?
Sure. Well, I think as Columbia grows bigger, just in number of population, so we're more of a populous center in Richland County, we want to be careful about how we grow, and we want to be really mindful of how people get around in the city, in the heart of Richland County. And so bicycles are really important. Today's a really hot day, so I did not bike, but I did take the bus. And so I love to walk, I love to bike, and I love to take public transit, because that frees up our the ways that we get around. It reduces that congestion, and it really gets people moving, and it helps people see where they live in a new light, and really enjoy the nature around them. So I'm really excited about what we're building to make sure that we have connectivity from the heart of downtown all the way to the river, so that people can really enjoy the beauty that we have here.
And I'll ask you one more question. For people that live in District 5, is there a way that they can contact you for them to share their thoughts, or if they have any concerns about what's going on in the district that maybe you can address during county council meetings?
Yeah. Well, my favorite ways for people to contact me are by email and by phone. And if you don't get me on the line right away, then my voice message says you can leave a message, but if you can, it's better to text. And so I feel like being really honest about what the best ways to contact you are is really important. For instance, tagging me on Facebook, a little bit hit or miss. I try to respond to those, but I can't guarantee that I'm always seeing them. So our numbers are on richlandcountysc.gov, and so that's really probably the best way to get in touch.